Hey friends! My name is Desiree, aka Mama Friendly, and I do all sorts of videos on my channel. Cooking videos, vlogs, hauls, Disney content, a little bit of everything. So if any of that sounds like fun to you, I hope that you will subscribe and join me on my YouTube adventure. Today's video is part of a collab hosted by Jim's Kitchen, and the collab is called Feeling Picklish. All of our recipes today are going to revolve somehow around pickles, and I really love these challenges that Jim from Jim's Kitchen likes to throw at us because there's always such a fun little twist to it. That being said, my recipe is a little bit on the simpler side, but if you're new to my channel, you might not be aware yet that I eat gluten and dairy free exclusively, and so all of my recipes are allergy friendly, and so that usually gives me enough of a twist to work with whenever I make a cooking video. This recipe is going to come together really quickly, and I'm going to be showing you all of the accommodations that I'm making to make it gluten and dairy free. If you are not concerned about gluten and dairy, then you can use whatever ingredients make sense for you and your family. But before we jump into those ingredients, I do want to let you know that because this is a collab, there's going to be a playlist. So once you finished watching my video, you can check out the description box. You're going to find a link to Jim's channel there, and also a link to that playlist so that you can see what all of my friends made for their Feeling Picklish video. Now on to the ingredients. For our software, we're going to need 2 cups of cooked chicken shredded up. I'm going to be using some leftover Costco rotisserie chicken, but you can make your own chicken, you can use a rotisserie, you can use whatever you find. At the end of the day, we just want 2 cups of chicken. It could be breast, it could be thigh, it could be a mix, whatever works. We need 2 tablespoons of mayo. I use this brand right here because it is soy free. Now, I'm not allergic to soy, but I do try to avoid it wherever possible. So that's an accommodation that I'm making for this recipe. If you're not worried about soy, then you can use Hellmann's, Duke's, whatever you like. We're going to need 2 tablespoons of pickle brine along with 1 cup of dill pickles chopped. Now these are my absolute favorite kind of pickles. These are dill pickles, but they're spicy. They're the hot variety. They do sell a regular, like, not hot version, and you're welcome to use that or any dill pickle you prefer, but I think once you've tried these, nothing else will ever compare, to be honest. 2 stalks of celery chopped fine, 1/4 red onion finely diced, 2 tablespoons of green onion chopped. We need a tablespoon of fresh dill. I kind of missed that on my grocery list, so I'm going to be using dry and hoping for the best. Maybe not a full tablespoon, but we'll see. I actually really love dill flavoring and everything, so I will be a little heavy-handed with it. It doesn't mean you have to be. We also need a 1/2 cup of coconut yogurt. Now, I have never found a coconut plain yogurt that didn't still taste like coconut to me. So, in my kind of workaround here, I'm going to be using a 1/2 cup of Kite Hill sour cream instead. This is coconut and almond based, but it does not taste of coconut or almond. It actually does just taste of sour cream to me. So I'm going to be using 1/2 cup of this, as I mentioned, and lastly we're going to need some salt and pepper to taste. Now for our hardware, I'm going to use 2 separate bowls. Do we need 2 separate bowls? I really don't think so, but it's what the recipe calls for, so it's what I'm going to do. And also I'm going to have my handy dandy little slap chopper thingy here. I'll have this linked down below. I love using this whenever I need to cut onions, especially because my knife skills are not great, and also onions make me cry. So I'm going to be using this. I will warn you though, it is like wildly offensively sharp. Very sharp. The blade is very scary. So when it comes time to clean it, be super careful. Ask me how I know. Or actually, I guess you could probably assume by now. But like I said, I'll have that link down below, and that concludes everything that we're going to need to bring this very simple recipe to life. So I've got my first bowl right here, and I'm going to use this bowl to make our dressing, as it were. So all of our wet ingredients, our flavoring agents, if you will, are going to go into this first bowl. Starting with my 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. Just like that. My 2 tablespoons of pickle brine. Now opening these containers is always fun. Let's call it fun because you're bound to make a mess. So you have to be very, very careful, very, very ginger about it. Closing it is a whole other beast, but I'm going to go ahead and extract our 2 tablespoons of brine. I'm trying to leave the chunkier bits of like pepper and stuff behind, but if some dill gets in there, I don't mind that at all. Kiddo is obviously very excited in the background. This is a real life house, guys, with a real life family in it, so you're bound to hear some background noise. Let's add in our 1/2 cup of sour cream, or you might be using coconut yogurt, regular dairy yogurt. You just want to make sure whatever you're using that it is plain. You don't want to add in any fruity flavors to our salad. This is not the place for that. Those pickles are already smelling so nice. Next I'm going to put my salt and pepper in here, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of a whisk. We have a perfect, nice and smooth texture here, so now we're going to move on. In another bowl, this is why I'm saying I don't know if we really need that second bowl, because I feel like we can just build everything onto that first bit. But in another bowl, we're going to add in our shredded chicken, our pickles, celery, red onion, green onion, and dill. We're going to mix them to combine, and then we're just going to pour our yogurt / sour cream mixture over the top. But before we can do any of that, we have to get to chopping. So I'm going to start with my nemesis here. By the way, I'm team red onion, purple onion, all the way. I feel like it has the best flavor of basically any onion. It's my favorite kind of onion to eat and cook with, especially raw. Like, I'm not a huge fan of cooked onions, but I love raw onions. I'm wondering, are you team red onion or do you prefer white or yellow onions? I'm gonna get out my chopping block here. Told you my knife skills are crap, but I'm gonna cut 1/4 of this right here. Don't you fret, the rest of that onion is also gonna get chopped and used in another recipe that you might be seeing on this channel very soon. But I'm just gonna give this a little bit of a start, and I will let my chopper do the rest. I read somewhere that if you put a wet paper towel next to the onion, that all of the make you cry juice ends up in the napkin. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's worth a try because I'm usually very, very susceptible to onion fumes. Got my 2 stalks of celery here that I'm going to just chop up into smaller pieces so that they're more manageable for our chopper. I gotta tell you guys, this napkin situation, maybe I started it too late, but it's really not doing much for me. Is that funny to you, little man? I guess so, huh? I'm going to chop up our green onion. Again, just a little bit of a rough chop so it's easier for this guy to manage. Never throw away your green onion ends, by the way. I throw these into a jar of water and I just let them regrow and reproduce over and over again. Yep, I can say unequivocally this is not really doing a whole lot. So for our 1 cup of pickles, I'm thinking maybe like 8 pieces because supposedly each piece is about 1 ounce. So we're going for 8 ounces, right? My math might be off, but that's about what I'm going to use. So again, I'm just going to give these a bit of a rough chop so that our handy dandy helper over here has an easier time with them. This actually might be helping. I'm astounded. This is not 100%. And like I said, I put it out a little later maybe than I needed to, but it's definitely helping. I'm going to go ahead and chop up my veg now, and then I will shred up the chicken by hand and everything will join forces in the bowl when it's ready. Alright, it took a minute because there really was a lot of stuff, but my eyes have now recovered and everything we need for our salad is nicely chopped in uniform pieces, which is something I never would have accomplished by hand. So the next thing I have to do, the last thing I have to do really, as far as like prep as it were, is I need to shred up my chicken. And typically I would just eyeball this, but I don't want to throw off the ratio of veggies to dressing to chicken. So I am going to actually shred it into this cup. We need 2 cups of shredded chicken, And I'm also going to do my best to shred it kind of fine, because I have a tendency to leave chicken in my recipes a little too chunky. And I personally don't mind that, but I know that that's not for everyone. So I want to make this as universally likable as I can. So there's 1 cup of chicken, and that was about a half of a Costco rotisserie chicken breast. So I'm thinking with like a breast and a half, we'll probably have our full 2 cups of chicken that we need for our recipe. Again, you don't have to stick to the 2 cups exactly. You can kind of eyeball it. I tend to try to stick to recipes exactly the first time that I make them. And then once I've made them exactly as they're written, then I feel a little more comfortable branching out and bettering them based on what I think could have been more flavorful, a better ratio, more cook time, less cook time, etc. Obviously this recipe does not have any cook time, but you know what I mean in general. So because this is my first time making this exact recipe, I do want to follow it exactly. Okay, so that looks like it's going to be just slightly over 2 cups, but I didn't want to use like all but that little bit of the chicken breast. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, it feels like that's not going to be enough chicken for all the stuff we have going on veggie-wise. Now, I'm taking a gamble here because potentially with this extra chicken and with all of those veggies, I might not have enough sauce or dressing, as it were, for the salad. So I think I'm going to just kind of stop right here. So it's just slightly over the 2 cups of chicken. But I think that that's going to be a better ratio. So now we're going to introduce all of our vegetation into our bowl of chicken. Let's give this a nice little swipe so that we don't leave anything behind. And let's not forget, we have to still put our dill in here. So if you're using fresh dill, which I highly recommend, you're going to need a tablespoon of that. Because I'm going to be using dry, I'm just going to eyeball it, but I'm going to be pretty heavy-handed with it just because, like I said, I really like dill. In she goes. We're opening the big spout and we're just kind of letting it rip. Honestly, that was probably about a tablespoon anyways. Typically with dried herbs, you want to use less than you would with fresh because the dry herb is supposed to have more concentrated flavor than the fresh stuff. And of course you flavor this to your taste, whatever you like, but I really like dill. So in goes our dressing. See, this is super simple. The hard part, if you could even call it that, is just the chopping. But if you can chop, you can make this salad. Easy peasy. We're just going to give it a mix to get everything incorporated in here. Get everything nice and mixed up. And you can serve this right away. You can refrigerate it, cover it and refrigerate it for an hour, a couple hours before you're meant to serve. You can even keep this in a Tupperware in the fridge for up to 3 days. So this would make a great meal prep. You can serve it on a sandwich, on toast, with crackers, with pita chips. Me, I'm thinking I might eat this right out the bowl. So as a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and give it a little bit of a taste test right now. I want to make sure to get a little bit of everything. That is a very good looking bite, if I do say so myself. Okay, honestly, that is incredible, but how could it not be? With this mix of ingredients, you really cannot go wrong. This would actually also probably be great in like a lettuce wrap if you're trying to go lower carb. But this is fresh, it's delicious, it's got an incredible mix of flavors, super easy to put together, allergy friendly when you use the recipe ingredients that I've shown you. This is 1000% going to be a hit at any summer gathering you bring it to this year. I don't think my eyes ever properly recovered from that onion. So if I look like I've been crying, it's because I have. But I am really excited about this recipe. I cannot wait to make this again. This is going to for sure become a part of my regular lunchtime rotation because I can't believe how easy it was to put together. And with the dill, the pickles, the onions, I really don't see myself getting tired of this dish anytime soon. If you decide to try this recipe, I would love for you to come on back and let me know how you liked it. If you are in the mood for more pickly type things, make sure you check out that playlist before you go. And as always, I want to thank you all so much for being here and watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I hope you'll please give it a big thumbs up. I'd also love it if you would subscribe and click that notification bell because I post at least 3 times a week and I wouldn't want you to miss a minute. Thanks so much again for watching. Bye!